everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Sue of Bendnstretch with Sue. In today's video, I'm going to be taking you through some playful poses that can be done at the wall. The reason for doing them at the wall is that it really helps you to develop a better body awareness. Having a wall there will allow you to have some stability as well as some anchor points that can really help you with your posture while you're in poses and off the mat as well. So with that, let's get started. Now as we begin, of course we're going to be needing a wall to use for this practice today. If you can reach for a yoga block, you really only need one for this one. But we'll begin by moving into a little bit of a warm-up. And first you'll want to bring your back against the wall and getting fairly close. Now, depending how much space you have between you and the wall, you're going to have maintaining hips over top of your ankles. So the heels are not necessarily touching the wall. In my case, I probably have about an inch or so from the back of my heels to the wall. But from here, I'm able to bring my shoulder blades up against the wall. My glutes are up against the wall, and I move as much of my shoulder blades up to the wall and bringing the arms alongside the body and just slightly away in that perfect anatomical position. Now the back of my head, the center back of it is up against the wall, and by having the backs of my hands on the wall, I'm able to really open through my chest, which is what we want. We want to open that heart center. And you can take a moment in that position, and you may have to kind of shimmy around a little bit to get yourself adjusted just right. And from here, you're going to just observe how the soles of the feet connect into the wall, and just taking a moment for a few deep breaths. Notice how you are able to inflate the belly first, then the ribs, and then the chest. And as you exhale, empty out the belly first, the ribs, and then the chest. So take a couple more breaths this way. Breathing in through the nose. And if you're able to, breathing out through the nose as well. And making sure that you maintain as much connection to the wall as possible. So the backs of the arms are connected, the backs of the hands, center back of the head. And as you prepare to warm the body, we're simply going to float the arms up, keeping them connected to the wall as we bring them up. Now, depending how tight your shoulders are, you may find yourself peeling away. Maybe the arms peel away. You might not be able to keep that connection of the backs of the hands. But you do want to keep the shoulder blades, so just working with the range that you have. But this is a really good way to observe just how much range you have. So breathing in, once again, to float those arms up. And as you breathe out, floating the arms back down again. So let's do one more, just like that. This beautiful breath into the belly, ribs, chest. And as you bring the hands up, we exhale on the way down, emptying belly first, ribs, and then the chest. Great. So from here, maintaining that same stance, mountain pose, and we're just going to begin to warm up the neck a little bit as we bring our gaze to the right side. And trying to keep your chin nice and level here. You're not tucking it in toward the shoulder, and you're keeping the connection to the head against the wall. Then inhaling to bring the head back to the middle, exhaling and turning the other way. Quite often when we start to move the head, there's a tendency for it to dip forward. So having the wall there and keeping your body connected to it as well as your head helps you to stay in alignment. So when you inhale, imagine that you're reaching the crown of your head up more, and then you're exhaling to turn your gaze and turn the head. And bring it back to the center again. From here, you can slide the shoulders up to the ears and then melt them away. And we'll Repeat that a few times, still keeping them connected to the wall as you do this. The head stays connected to the wall, backs of the hands stay connected to the wall. You may find if your chest is really tight that it is quite a challenge for you to keep those hands, or the backs of the hands, against the wall. You might find it's more comfortable for you to have the palms turned back and the hands opened up in the opposite position. From here, let's drop one ear to the shoulder. And as you maintain that connection against the wall, it's really important to let gravity draw the ear toward the shoulder. So depending on the mobility, I've had a few neck injuries, so I don't have a lot of movement that goes on here. Inhale, but I can still feel it, I can still enjoy the stretch, and however much mobility you have, you will benefit from exploring it and working with what you have. And over time, you'll probably find that gets better. And then bring it back to the center one last time, over to the left side. And then bring it back to the middle. As you bring your right hand alongside the right leg, bring your left arm, keeping it connected to the wall. See if you can slide your hips over to the left as you keep that left arm connected to the wall as best as you can, sliding the hips more and more to the left while keeping both your right and your left shoulder blade connected to the wall. Now once you are in the stretch, as deep as you have the availability to go, can you turn your gaze up toward your left elbow? And then bring yourself back to standing nice and tall, floating that arm down. Take an inhalation and bring your right arm up, left hand by the left leg. Again, maintaining that connection, sliding the hips over to the right as your left fingertips slide down, reaching nice and long with that right arm. Hips shifting to the right, keeping the feet really well anchored, and possibly turning your gaze here to look toward that right elbow. Breathe as you hold, maintaining connection of your back to the wall. Notice where it's touching. Notice where you might have some struggle. And then bring it all the way back up again. And release. Again, you can give yourself a bit of a shrug here. And then come back to that strong Tadasana. From here, we're going to take the feet probably about 8 inches or so away. Again, depending on the size of the person, a larger person may have to walk the feet a little further away. So really give yourself permission to kind of explore this. But as you keep the feet well anchored, you are going to roll the shoulders in forward this time. The hands in front of your thighs, tucking the chin in. And from here, make sure you've got a bit of softness in your knees as you begin to slowly roll yourself down. Sliding your fingertips down the legs as you articulate through the spine to come down to wherever it is available to you to do so. The hands keep sliding down the shins towards your ankles, or maybe you're stopping somewhere around your knees. Slowly unroll, keeping your bottom connected to the mat, or to the floor here, to the wall, pardon me. And then you're slowly articulating yourself back up, reconnecting first the base of the shoulder blades, the middle of the shoulder blades, the top, and then the back of the head returns to the wall. Breathe in. Again, as you breathe out, tuck the chin in. Slowly start to roll your shoulders forward more as you peel away the shoulder blades, the top, middle, lower, and bit by bit, keeping that bottom connected to the wall, you roll your way down to your available area. Slowly drawing the belly button to the spine, and keeping the bandhas engaged here. So those are the energy locks in your body. And bring yourself back up again to reposition in Tadasana. From here, we're a little bit warmer through the spine. I thought I was going to say. from here, as we move into some of our traditional yoga poses, we're going to keep the mat, having a mat against the wall is going to be useful for you to have some grip. If you're doing this on carpet, you might find it quite comfortable to do it in that manner. But you're going to bring your feet, in this case my left foot is forward, my right foot is back, and I'm going to bring them about one of my legs length between the front foot and the back foot. Now the back of my pelvis, so both glutes are anchored to the wall. My shoulder blades are as well, as is the back of my head, and extending the arms out long, I'm going to move into a warrior two position. Now this is one that, if you've done a yoga class, you're familiar with this one. It's quite a common yoga pose. But what happens is quite often we have difficulty with our alignment because we don't really have the body awareness to really know how we should be standing. So with the wall and having the shoulder blades connected to the wall, back of the head, as well as the arms and the pelvis, we're really having to exert a lot of strength from the core to remain here. Now the front knee is bent, and depending how deep you get into it, you might even bring your feet wider apart to work your way to having a 90-degree bend in that front knee. Now, the front knee is going to be intending its way toward the wall. Now, of course, in order to maintain your balance, you're going to be probably a few inches. I've got about 2.5 inches or so away from the wall with my feet so that I don't fall over. And also having the shoulders right over top of the hips is going to allow me to maintain a stacking. My head also remains right above the spine, so I maintain a really nice long tall spine here. And it forces me to use the strength of my legs and my core to maintain this position. Now from here, quite often you'll see going into side angle pose. Now with side angle, you could have your bottom arm resting on your thigh. You could use a block as well. But again, having the wall is going to allow you to work on your form. So you do want that front knee to continue to move toward the wall, just as it was in Warrior Two. You've got the back hip kind of opening up here. Quite often what I'll see is a collapse forward. But having the wall here allows me to really open it up. Taking the arm right alongside the ear will create a beautiful long line from the back ankle all the way out through the fingertip, and it makes it easier for me to find that alignment. Now, depending on how much space I'm comfortable with placing between my front foot and my back foot, I could actually sink all the way down to the floor, maintaining that side angle. Now, as I do this, what I need to be cautious of is that top shoulder still connected to the wall. Is that top glute, hip, still connected to the wall? Now you really want to be focused on that alignment in that front knee and still moving toward the wall also, or toward my baby toe. From here, I bring it back up, pressing my way up to prepare for Trikonasana, triangle pose. Now, to have a little bit more stability, I'm just going to bring my feet in a little bit closer together. I still have approximately one of my legs lengths between the front foot and the back foot. So from here, I've got a block handy if I need it. I'm going to slide my hips. I've already warmed those up, sliding the hips toward the opposite side as I reach forward with the front arm. So notice my arms are staying in alignment here. As I continue to get long, from my waist, my top shoulder is pressing into the wall, as is my pelvis. And from here, maybe I've got a little bit more space to move forward, but then I can bring the front hand down and the back one up. So creating a nice long line from the bottom hand to the top one, while continuing to press this top hip back toward the wall. Perhaps even gazing up at the top, hand opens up my chest, my heart center even more. Now if I'm able to, I may bring the bottom hand all the way down without sacrificing my form. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Quite often people will want to really get down to the floor and reach, but then the form starts to collapse forward again. So we want to maintain those open lines. So using a block can be a really good way to keep that form and not sacrifice it. Now the reason this is called triangle, so while we're here, a little bit of trivia is that there's a triangle right between the two legs here, and there's also a little one behind my front ankle, one underneath my bottom underarm, so that it creates an entire triangular, or three little triangles within the one big triangle. As we bring all the way back up again, we're going to bring, once again, the front foot in a little bit, using the block just closer to the wall, but more to the outside of the front foot. So you can move it about another 8 inches, again, away from the wall, depending again on the size of your frame, taking the arms out nice and long, and from here we bend the front knee, placing the front hand on that block as we lift the back leg up to come into half moon balance. So this is kind of a fun one to do against the wall because you really get the sense of stacking your body. You've got both shoulder blades connected, both hips, the back of your lifted heel, and the back of your extended arm, as well as the back of your head. So this allows you to really get acquainted with the pose. As you float back, we take ourselves back to standing and prepare to turn and move into that same sequence on the opposite side so that we make sure our bodies are really well balanced. So taking the feet once again wider and taking it to that warrior two position. So again, make sure you've got good spacing between your front foot and your back foot. The front knee is going to press towards your front baby toe. The gaze is past the right hand in this instance. The chin is nice and level as the back or the side back of the head is anchored into the wall. And both arms are level, you'll notice too. It's a lot easier to get that leveling and connect with your body awareness. Your shoulders are directly over your hips. Your ears are over your shoulders. And as we explore this deeper, we can take the front arm to the front thigh, reaching up with the back one to sink into side angle. So once again, you can stay here, or you can explore getting a little bit deeper. If you have a block, you actually have 3 different settings here that you can use. You can take that top arm, bring it alongside the ear, make sure the back of the head is remaining there as well, connected, and continuing to intend that top hip to the wall. So in this instance, my bottom hip is well connected to the wall. The top one is kind of grazing the wall. It's not connected quite as much. My top shoulder, no problem. It's right up against the wall. But again, depending on your area of concern, the areas where you hold your attention, you're going to discover different things, but it really will help you to improve your posture. As we float ourselves back up again, moving into triangle pose, Trikonasana. So the legs straighten, the arms are nice and long. Breathing in to get long through the waist, breathing out to slide the hips in the opposite direction. So breathe in, get long, breathe out, reach forward, and reach. And if you're reaching a little bit more, and eventually bringing that Front hand down to the leg, top one along or right up above. So again, you're aiming to find that nice long line. So same as when you were in side angle. You're trying to get that back or that top hip to press against the wall as best as you can. From here, once you have your form, you can play around as well. You can bring the hands to the heart to engage the core a little bit more. You could even bring the arms alongside the ear to really load up the core. And if you bring the hands in line in a beautiful triangle, you want to make sure that you're not resting your hand on that bottom leg so much. You want to rely on your core strength. As we bring it all the way back up again, we can bring the feet in just a little bit here as we bring our block in position. And again, we're a little bit away from the wall to move into our half moon balance. So floating your back leg up, stacking your right hand in this instance up against, or right hand is on your block, or you could have it on the floor. So in this case, I've got fingertips down, but you do want to maintain a nice long line from your head to your foot. So you don't want to start twisting just to try to get that hand down. Try to keep that top shoulder right up against the wall. And if possible, look up to your top hand. Try to relax your jaw in order to facilitate your breath. And from here, we float it all the way back to a standing nice and tall. So taking a big, beautiful shoulder roll, we're going to once again move into that forward fold. So bringing the arms in front, sliding the hands down the legs, and easing down. Take the hands and bring them in front, walking them away, and bring your heels up against the wall, creating a downward facing dog. And we begin by taking the right leg and floating it up so the top of the foot is right up against the wall. And then you can begin to bring your hands in closer and closer as you explore, coming into a standing split. So pressing your chest up against your thigh, moving it toward the wall as you reach through those tippy toes on the right side, pressing, lifting, and then slowly release it as you once again bring yourself to your downward facing dog. From here, we reposition and prepare to make it a three-legged dog on the other side. So left leg lines up against the wall, top of the foot, hands walking in closer and closer. And continuing to reach. Pressing the belly towards your right thigh, making sure that even though there's quite a bit of strength in the arms, you're not tensing up your neck, your shoulders. You can give the head a little bit of a shake here. And then slowly release it down. And from here, we bring ourselves back to sitting in a comfortable position and just taking a moment to loosen up through the shoulders, much more aware of your posture at this time. And as we bring this practice to some conclusion, I hope you had fun with it. Let's take a nice big final breath, a big beautiful stretch, and let the hands land at your heart. And namaste.